Hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Today, I will be setting up my April weekly spreads. I will be using these stickers from Hubman and Chubgirl. These are from the Calm Koi collection. I also have these dot number stickers from Hubman and Chubgirl's Winter Onesie Town collection. I thought the colors coordinated well, so I'm going to be using those. I'm going to be using this light blue mild liner with the brush tip, a slightly darker mild liner, as well as a couple of Papermate flares and my Posca paint pen in white with a fine tip. I'm starting here with the first full week of April. I already did a light pencil sketch of where I want all my elements to be. The first thing I did is I used the light blue mild liner to outline where our little stream is going to be. That is where our koi fish are going to be swimming. I'm drawing 8 boxes using a light green Papermate flare. The outlines for each of these boxes is in a kind of a random dot and dash pattern. I didn't want these lines to be too harsh or solid. And then the level of each of these boxes is following the curves of the stream going down the center of the page. I don't use monthly spreads, so I don't make them. I only use weekly spreads. And I like all of my weekly spreads for the month to be pretty consistent. I find it less confusing for my brain that way. And you'll notice that I leave a lot of negative space or extra space outside of my 8 boxes. And I use that as my flex space. Most of the time I use it for journaling and memory keeping. If I have any new habits I want to track, I could also use it for that, or I could just use it for quotes or decoration or anything really that I need for that particular week. Once I'm done drawing in my 8 boxes, I'm going to start filling the stream with water. I'm using the lightest blue mild liner, the brush tip end, to draw random blobby shapes. I want all of these shapes to fit together, kind of like a mosaic, but I also want a thin area of white space between each blob. I'm coloring in each blob, but I don't have to be super careful about trying to keep the color even or not overlapping my strokes. In the end, all the variation in color will just give the water a little bit more movement. As a side note, I actually prefer the brush tip mild liners over the chisel tip mild liners. I don't ever use mild liners as actual highlighters. I generally use them for decoration, and I find the brush tip a lot more conducive. Now I'm using the same light blue mild liner to create a layer of undulating, curving lines of various thickness. I want these lines to overlap and intersect each other randomly, and I don't want them to follow the shapes from the first layer. Now I'm using the bullet tip end of the slightly darker mild liner to put in my April monthly heading in the water. I chose to do it in an all caps bubble letter font. I outlined each letter with the white paint pen to help make them stand out better. And I'm going to use the white paint pen to create more intersecting, undulating lines, and this will be our final layer for the water. I don't want these lines to follow any of the previous 2 layers. I feel like in the end, these layers of free-flowing natural shapes creates a nice realistic water effect. It definitely is one of those trust the process types of exercises. Once the stream is filled with water, I can start adding the stickers of the koi and lily pads. And of course, my cat Fig had to come check out the fish, but once he figured out that he couldn't eat them, he went to go find something else to do. You'll notice that this particular spread includes the last 2 days of March and the first 5 days of April. That's because I like each of my weekly spreads to contain the whole 7-day week. But all of the days of March are done in the March theme, and all of the days of April will be done in the koi theme. The last 4 days of April happen to fit on one page, so I ended the stream with a little pond. Now I can use the number stickers that I had left over from the Hubman and Chubgirl Winter Onesie Town theme. That was the theme that I used for January of this year. Now I'm going to use my turquoisey blue Papermate Flare to write in the first 3 letters of each day of the week, and the 8th box on each weekly spread I will use for notes. I'm using a similar font that I use to put in my monthly title. With my weekly spreads done, I'm going to flip to the front of the notebook where I have set aside 2 2-page spreads for each month to create my health trackers. I'm using a craft knife to cut the margin off of the middle page to create a Dutch door, and using my corner rounder to round off the corners. I turn the book sideways so I can write my April health tracker title along the margin of the back page. Cutting the middle page into a Dutch door allows this title to be visible from any part of this health tracker. And on the left margin, I will be listing all of the days of the month. And you can also see that I have tabs made for all of the pages that I have set aside for my future health trackers for the rest of the year. I like for all of my monthly health trackers for the year to be all together, so I have these pages set aside so I can set up the monthly trackers and fill them out as the time comes. If you're interested in seeing how I set up my tabs, that is included in the video where I set up this notebook for the new year. And here I'm using my turquoise Papermate Flare to put in the numbers and first letter of each day of April. Now I'm using my green Papermate Flare to draw a dotted and dashed line to the right of the days of the week of April. This line will separate the days of the week from the actual data I'll be collecting throughout the month. And then on the top of the page, I'm going to create little brackets where I will be able to list all of the things that I'm actually tracking for the month. For example, I will track what time I take my morning medications, my middle of the day medications, my before bedtime medications. I'll track my pain levels, that kind of thing. So each of the spaces is 2 dot grid spaces wide. The last one is 3 dot grid spaces wide because I decided to track the temperature range for each day, just in case that might have any bearing on my health symptoms. I draw my brackets at an angle just so I can have a little bit more space to write. And I also like to put a line between Saturday and Sunday, so I have a visual separation for each week. Then I flipped over to the next page of the spread to make the weekly separation lines halfway across the left-hand page. This is the space I use to log how much activity or exercise I had each day. And then to the right of that, I list my medications that I take in the morning, midday, and evening. And the last page is just a space for any notes for any additional information I think I might want to have. And here I am using the blue Papermate Flare just to put in the titles for each space. If you're interested at all in how I use my health trackers, I do have a separate video on that as well. I don't put any decoration on my health tracker pages. These are functional spreads for me, but I do like to match the colors to the weekly spreads for that month. And now we're ready for the final flip through. We have the first 5 days of April on the same spread as the last 2 days of March. I really like how this month's theme turned out. I think it really is a calming theme with the calm koi swimming through our undulating stream that flows through each week and ends on the last 4 days of April in a little pond. I really enjoyed using these cute stickers from Hubman and Chubgirl. And I have my April health tracker spread set up, ready for me to fill out everything that I need to track for the month of April. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again next time. Thank you. Bye.